Alrighty then. What's up, Mr. Darren Bucare?
Wonderful,
Welcome.
wonderful day today. Feeling good. Feeling good.
Nice. Well, welcome to another episode of Walking the Crossroads. This is part 2 of the Ghosts in Savannah episode. So we just wanted to let you know, if you are watching this, you may want to go back and check that episode first, because it's a very good intro to the levels of spirits and
Okay,
different
add
things that Darren goes
intuition.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was informational.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that that would be a good precursor to this, because you kind of got in that episode up to the point where you're in Savannah and you're working with the paranormal team and you're going to go out to do some stuff, but we didn't really get into it. So your
Yeah.
perspective, you're in Savannah. You could take us through a short form of that. Like, you started doing mediumistic work, you're working with these people, and they tell you that they want to go check out a haunting. So we're really, part
Well,
two
I
is
was
this
with this
story.
lady that was she kind of rolled out this job for me as a
Right.
food critic. So I was kind of
Right.
very excited about being able to do food reviews and wear some of my more outrageous outfits to show up as a food critic, which was a hoot.
Right.
And, when people they may have not even been very happy that you were at the restaurant, but and here
Right.
you are reviewing the restaurant. So in
Right.
your early 20s, that's definitely exciting.
Right. Yeah.
But when we went to that hangman's tree in the Delta Plantation, which is right outside of Savannah, and it literally looked
Right.
like the tree from Sleepy Hollow, and I had that
Right.
picture of a man that you could see the sun shining through the image in the photo.
Right.
Yet it was still very, very palpable, and you could see who this person was, and that would be a residue. So I had that, and then I subsequently had to get. I said I can't hang on to this photo because there
Right.
was a lot of people that passed away that were up in arms about some of what had happened during the Civil War and
Right.
beforehand in that
Sure.
area. So working with this team, they had taken me on a series of different paranormal investigations around Savannah, because as you could imagine,
Okay.
there are a lot of hauntings. We took a really long drive out to somewhere in southern Georgia where these people lived in a double wide trailer. And this
Okay.
is out among the really, and this is somewhere I believe in the swamp somewhere outside
Okay.
of maybe, uh, I think Milledgeville, somewhere out there. And
Okay.
this double wide trailer, they said the young woman had been pummeled around her. When she goes to the bathroom, she sounds like she's being thrown around the bathroom. And of course, they couldn't tell, and they maybe thought she had a dissociative or schizophrenia or something of that nature, because it didn't
Right.
happen when they would see her. But then they had seen her a couple times looking like she'd been lifted up off the ground. She was about 13 and being thrown around. So, as
Okay.
if we're not aware, people of a specific gender tend to get more poltergeist activity in their mid-teens than other genders. So, female
Okay.
young women do get a lot of. We tend to see a lot of poltergeist activity linked with people in their preteens or mid-teens or late teens for
Okay.
women. So that was definitely a bit of a concern for the team. But I'm the one that actually brought it up now. So I'm 23, right? These are
Right.
like 50 and people in their 50s, and I'm kind of helping a lot of them navigate through some of this stuff, like they hadn't
Right.
really run across anything like this before.
Right.
And they had a lot of knowledge too, but they had a lot of scientific knowledge. So we go
Right.
in, and the whole double wide trailer feels like it's kind of squeezing it, like the walls are getting closer on
Right.
you, and it was very
Right.
strange. And the whole thing, like I put my hand on the wall, and it felt like the wall was literally like the wood paneling was gonna like come alive, like seriously.
Right.
So
Okay.
the whole
Okay.
thing had a kind of a personality to it. So when we went back to the bathroom, I felt like it was a portal. It was definitely a portal was
Right.
going on in the bathroom.
Right.
So that's why a lot of this like horrific activity was happening in this
Right.
bathroom, and I was very concerned. So I walked in and I literally, and this is me at a young age, I was like, I need someone like in the doorway here. So when I went in, and
Right.
of course they're recording it, and then they got off the charts, like the temperature dropped like 50 degrees, and then they got off the charts, like electromagnetic activity.
Right.
So I walk in and I look at the bathtub, and where they could hear her like being thrown into the bathtub, and you could see all these human nails, scratch marks at the bottom of the bathtub, and then some of them there were two sets of scratch marks, so they weren't. Some of
Right.
them weren't human, and I
Right.
don't know
Okay.
what's going to make that. So my next question, and you have to approach. Even at a young age, I said, well, do you guys have a dog, and do you have
Right.
and they had a cat, and let me just say, it didn't look like that. Like
Right.
the daughter was in there with the cat in the bathtub, like having a
Yeah, like they were
thrown out
scratching together.
with the
Yeah.
cat in the
Yeah.
bathtub.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not look. And when I put my so as we're taught in psychometry and
Right.
by all your major adepts in psychic development,
Right.
you're gonna lay on hands if you want to get a real you know. And when I put my hands on those scratch marks, um, I don't think I'm this open anymore that I would, or this vulnerable anymore because I have layers and
Right.
layers of protection up. But when I put my hand on those scratch marks, it was like the skin on the back of my shoulders was kind of like lit on fire. Seriously, like it just, I
Right.
felt
Right.
and I think this is sometimes when we talk about infernal or things that are in just you have a bad feeling about something when
Right.
you really want to take a sample and get in there and check it out what
Yeah.
that feels like energetic and sometimes
Yeah.
it feels like something's rotting or destroyed from the inside or sometimes it feels like it's just like exploding and that felt like
Right.
exploding.
Right.
um, and it felt like whatever was going on with this interaction spiritually with this young woman was very, very painful when it was
Right.
happening and
Right.
torturous. And
Sure.
I got a flash of some sort of domestic, something domestic was going on in the home
Right. Sure.
related to this, but not separate, but not unrelated, that was
Sure.
causing
Right. The
some
influence
of
was
this
in the
stress.
environment.
And it's someone could have been, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it could have been someone that was. Dating the mother or something of so
Right.
it got
Right.
very harrowing and but there was I think it was a spirit of the land. So as we
Okay.
go in, if we go reference the first episode, it
Right.
would be
We talked
something that
about that.
maybe wasn't human. That is
Right.
either used
Something
her as
that's
rescue or being an expression of her pain, and
right.
it is terrorizing this whole family and terrorizing her at the same time.
Hmm.
And I was just not capable. I had neither this sort of awareness at the time, and in hindsight,
Right.
it's 2020, of course. But they
Sure.
had no idea what to do, and they're like, "Look, we got cool temperature readings, dude." And I'm like, well, "What about?"
Yeah.
Like they're like, "Man, this one's off the charts, brother."
Right.
I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
"What about this young girl? Like, what is she
Right.
gonna do now?" And I
Right.
wasn't capable. I was scared as everybody else. I was like, "I don't know
Right.
what the hell would I do?"
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're interested in the exercise of
Uh-huh.
science, but you're actually dealing with the reality of spiritual hauntings and bad things. Like you're actually dealing with the energy. So
Right.
that's different.
And then lucky for me, and my guides protected me from a lot of stuff like that. Like I would have had to blow up their family if I was going to get in there to help them, and I couldn't.
Right.
And that I just didn't even. I'm not. And at 23, I wasn't capable of. I don't think I had the emotional, social, or spiritual awareness to get in there and do that. So that was one of the first things I did with that group. And they
Right.
were very impressed that I could kind of help them get through that because that was like a 3-visit thing that we did. And then, so they invited me to like a sit down with them at their like kind of clubhouse they have or kind of meeting
Right.
places at someone's house. And it was a very cute, well-appointed Savannah home with a lot of antiques and
Right. Sure.
Louis the 14th chair in the corner and the
Right.
thing and yada da da. And I remember because I always like to talk about and it's a joke is ambrosia salad because
Right.
and then
I've
some
heard you say, actually, you know what? I've heard you say that before, and I don't.
What is it?
What is, yeah, what's
What is it?
the
What is ambrosia
frickin',
salad?
yeah.
I had to explain this to Christine that I'm talking to now, and we've been dating, and I brought it up once, and she's like, "What the hell is ambrosia salad?" It is it's fruit cocktail.
No, I mean, I know what ambrosia
You
salad
know what it
is.
is? Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's got the little, it's like Dole, like cut up fruit and the little,
For,
like the
for cousin Joey that doesn't
whipped
remember,
cream
because
and,
we
yeah,
put a
no, I mean,
tradition
like,
happen
it's
in
like,
our
why is
family.
that the food of the gods, by the way? Like, it's
And,
not very
yeah,
good.
well, that to me is the funny part about it is
Right, yeah.
it's
Okay.
ambrosia supposed to be the nectar of
Right.
the gods,
Right. It's
and,
supposed to be this
and they make a
amazing, like,
salad after it.
life preserving feel, it's,
And it is just, I don't know if it's, I think it's marshmallow fluff and fruit
right.
cocktail.
It's a
And then
bad, like, Midwest dessert. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
you're from Ohio. You've had a couple of bad Midwest desserts, but
There it is.
right,
And so we used to have it, and I think when I was a baby, when in the 70s or something, when they had it.
right.
And so, and I remember they served it at this gathering. They had ambrosia salad. I was
Right.
like,
Okay.
never seen anyone actually outside of my family make that.
Yeah,
Ambrosia.
no. Okay. So that's why it's a big deal to the people in Savannah because they had ambrosia salad and you
They
hadn't
love
seen it since you
it.
were a
Is
kid.
one of their
Right.
things is ambrosia.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
I had no idea what you were
I
talking
just,
about, honestly. I
we
mean,
don't
I
make
don't always know what
jellies
everyone's talking
with
about.
the pig hooves and the things. That is for the other people, but we do make
Right.
the ambrosia salad. Now I'm not
Right.
nothing
Sure.
like anything, but it was one of the things that was there. And
Right.
as I
Well,
was a
it's low country cooking.
you know what's in it? Sherbet. Sherbet.
What?
Yeah, sorbet or sherbet.
Okay.
That's what makes it. That's
And
what it is. That's what.
right, because it's yeah,
Put
it's
a
like
scoop of orange sherbet in there or something.
do you think it's possible that it happened because they just had some stuff left and they're like, let's
But man,
just
and it is
like
the
you don't
stuff
plan
that they,
something like that.
you got anything that's like canned fruit, you just there it is.
I'm
Throw it
just
in there.
saying.
Yep.
Okay, enough of us
Enough about that.
lollygagging around. Right. Okay. All right.
Get out of here.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm at this gathering. Well, this is the thing. There was a gentleman that they didn't care for. That was a local, a very a wealthy sort of guy, local guy,
Right.
and he was traveling a lot in Canada and
Okay.
in indigenous Native American areas looking for theories on folklore. And he came
Theories
back.
on
And they were not.
folklore. Yeah, sure. Learn about us. It'll be sweet.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that's
Because
my point is. So this guy intrinsically, yeah, let's go dig around and stuff that's. And he might. I don't know what his ethnicity was. But the
right.
problem, and this is why I bring it up, is this guy when I got into him, I can't tell him it's cultural appropriation or anything because I got to tell you, I didn't know what his genetic background was because when I looked at the guy, his face would contort and change all the time, and they generally had a very big misgivings about this guy, but he had a lot
Okay.
of money and he would make donations and stuff. This is how Savannah
Sure.
gets back. So we had him over, and everyone's like, he's a little weird, just watch out. And the guy came in and he saw me, and then suddenly things in the kitchen, because we were standing in this little kitchen, very well appointed, beautiful, right? And all the things in the kitchen started shaking like this, like,
Right.
and then I'm like, and I saw like this venerable forest. And if anyone's seen Yellow Jackets, it looks like the forest from Yellow Jackets, and it looks like Canada, but I couldn't say, but I just felt like this guy did something and there's something on him, and then it started kind of talking to me separately, and it told me that it's like a ravenous creature, and it's hungry, and it's like I don't care, and it was like a
Okay.
spiritual parasite, and it was
Right.
a lot like, and it spurred me to actually write a couple poems about. It was like some type of Manitou or Wendigo
Okay.
or something of that nature, but it
Right.
was ravenous, and it had
Right.
massive like spiritual power to like throw shit
Right.
across the room, and it literally. So
Right.
everyone was like, "What happened in the kitchen?" And everyone gets out their little meters and stuff, and they're like, "Hold
Right.
on, like wait," and they're like, Was it that guy in the thing that we just
Yeah.
debated? His name, I think his name was Roger. No, don't quote me on that. We're just for the sake of the pod, we're
Right.
just
Sure.
so,
Roger Dodger.
and they're
Right.
like, something happened in there, and I'm like, um, I think that maybe we shouldn't really trust this guy or get too involved with him because I think there's something attached to him. Just
Right.
basically threatened me and drew a line in the sand and
Right.
said, "I don't care if you know who I am. I don't care." I'm gonna come
Right.
in and do whatever I want. So he so he went and sat in his antique chair. So like I said, there's a Louis the 14th that is no one
Right.
sits in Louis the
Right.
14th. Right? But there was
Right.
one that was very you can tell because it's people were smaller back then and the chair was little. So
Right.
he sits his little, and this is back when people would definitely like tuck in their shirts. Remember, late
Sure.
90s,
Yeah. Yeah.
1998, 99, you're still tucking in your
Right.
shirt. So he tucked in
Right.
his sheets, had his little butt in the little ass chair, so that he probably shouldn't sit in. And everyone's like, everyone's like, holding their breath. They don't know how to react to this guy because he is checked out. When you're looking at his face, he's like, whatever is manipulating him is fully in control. So
Right.
he says, I'm just gonna sit here, and if one of you wants me to leave, you can tell me. And then the chair
But
started
that's the
out of
energy talking.
the
Right.
chair started to screech across the wooden. Now this is a hardwood floor, so it was like, "Ee," and it's making marks on the floor. It's fucking the chair up. It's fucking the floor up, and no one's moving. And I'm like, this is not good, you guys. You went up this. I'm like, get your boy. Come get your boy, right? Come get your boy. I'm new. This is my second time. So I had to say, you know what, Roger. I'm like,
Yeah.
Roger, I think it's time that we're going to have a meeting, and we're excited about you making a donation, but we got to talk about where that donation can go. We'd really like some time to talk about the logistics on that. Could you get back to
Sure.
us right now? And we got to serve the ambrosia salad. So if
Right.
you could get back to us, and then we'd love to have a meeting with you later, maybe
Right.
later in the week. And he's like,
Oh,
well, I guess and he did one of those, I'll take my leave of you then.
right.
Like, how
I guess it's my
real
time to
corny ass
go.
people
Thank
talk
you.
like that. Like, well,
Right.
fair enough, and I'll see
Right.
you later then. And I'm like,
Oh, alrighty then.
okay.
I guess I gotta go then.
But I had to be the one. I'm like
Right.
over here, like,
Sure.
what? Are you seeing this?
Right.
What
Yeah.
about your floor? Like, that
Right.
shit's expensive to take care of. I mean, I'm like, what is going
Not
on?
not everybody notices everything, and of course that's part of what we're doing here.
There's a full-grown man in a little chair, and the chair is screeching across the
Right.
room in front of 15 people looking at this guy, and they're like,
Right.
"We don't know what to do."
Right.
And Savannah's challenging sometimes. I'm like, "Well, thank
Sure.
you, but
Good.
somebody got to do something."
Right.
You over here, like, I don't know, like so. So that was quite a moment, and so I did work with them a couple more times after that. But what I realized
Okay.
is I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And what I wasn't learning anything spiritual. I was just helping maybe a handful
Sure.
of curious looky-loos and journalists and
Right.
scientists kind of go check stuff out, which is great. But I wasn't gaining anything on my spiritual path
Right. But you were useful to them, but it wasn't really
in that
useful to you.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, I know how electromagnetic spectrometers work. I know
Sure.
your EKG meter is going to tell you.
Right.
So these are some things I want to talk about with like everyone's excited about ghost hunting and stuff.
Sure.
Electromagnetic, an EKG meter is going to tell you how much activity is in the space. But if you are a trained medium, if you are an empath, you can train your body and you can train your head and you can train your sacral to just pick up how much of that's happening. And for me, it's like breathing. So I'm interested in what she's talking about, but what that's doing is validating me and saying
Right.
electromagnetic spectrum is EKG's off the chart or the
Right.
temperature's off the chart. And like I
Right.
said, when I was, in Savannah, there were times where it went from 95 degrees to like 50 degrees.
Right.
That's a huge disparity. That's a
Well,
huge
I mean,
disparity.
if you're looking, I think this, in a sense, is what we're saying is that there's the physical representation of spiritual activity, and there's the spiritual dimension of spiritual activity. And a lot of times we're not really getting taught the spiritual dimensions of the activity. And of course, that's where you come in, and people who do your work come in. Um, can you tell me anything else from that time period that you think would be useful for people to
Well,
know, or like, what do you think would be smart to tell somebody who's even wanting to get into this type of work? I mean, like
what's
I'm sure
smart
people
is
do.
to find authors that you appreciate
Okay.
and that you feel can give you structured knowledge, and they're not trying to manipulate you into a caste system in a group
Right.
setting. that are either 100+ years ago trying to tell
Right.
you who to go find when we
Right.
don't know what version of their thought process is out there, or what,
Sure.
you're playing telephone with people over decades and centuries,
Sure.
and you don't know what version of that's happening now. Find people you
Right.
can trust and find
Right.
some community, and you might be find community as a solitary, and you might
Right.
find community as with a couple of people, which for me, I had my little group of 3 people, and then was two
Right.
people and then back to 3, and then it goes to 1 sometimes, like that's
Sure.
that's
Sure.
how people that can support each other, and you don't have to support each other all the time, but there
Right.
may be something. I was great to have a girl. We can hang out and talk about I see stuff I do. I was like high five group, and they're all like,
Right. Sure.
can you tell us what's happening? That was the conversation. What's
Right.
happening, Darren? I'm like,
Right.
I'm 23, you're 56. Like, why telling you what's happening? Like, I don't know.
Sometimes, hey, some people have a natural gift, and other people have knowledge they've gleaned, and some maybe like parts of experience. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a difference between someone who's a born like metaphysically aware soul in an incarnation where they're meant to express that, and there's other people who have interest
I
in
want to
those things,
celebrate my
and
community.
that's fine. Right.
At Sticks and Stones, we were going to start a group like this that had
Right.
someone that studies West African mysticism, someone that does,
Right.
a lot of different practitioners, and someone who is a very hardline like scientist and skeptic to be with us to
Right.
make sure everyone has a say if we were
Sure.
going to go help people that have a situation. And
Right.
that group would have been wonderfully. We could all gain a lot from each other, and of course, even the skeptic
Right.
who's going to tell us that maybe you guys are being a little,
Sure.
maybe let's explore these scientific things. And there's a
Right. Right.
show on Netflix that isn't the best, but it's okay. That has a Catholic priest and a scientist and a psychiatrist running around, and it's called Evil, and
Sure.
they
No. Yeah, I've heard of that. I mean, and
it's
I
it's
think
not it's not terrible, but it
right.
was that kind of thing that we were going to do in DC for a minute. But it
Right.
takes a lot of moving parts and a lot of people on board and
Well, I
being
think
ready.
the thing to talk about there is this. I think even the point we're making here with some of this is that there are many different parts of understanding. Some of them are scientific, some of them are physical
Right.
plane, some of them are emotional, some are mental, some are spirit. Like, and we look at these levels, like we talked about levels of spiritual activity before, but there's levels of spiritual awareness, from the physical being the most dense and to the highest spirit being the highest frequency. All of these ideas, from the root chakra to the crown chakra, all of these gradations are something that we really don't learn too much about. Like even in our world right now, like we learn just the basic like physical plane awareness. We're taught science, but no mysticism, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's no seriously, like you either are religious, you go do your thing, but like in school, I've talked about this before, but like we are not given any schooling from like the shaman point of view. Like I always tell people, go to the doctor, go to the shaman,
Hmm.
right? Go to the psychiatrist, go to the psychic. You know what I'm saying? Like there's levels, there's a hybrid of information here that we're lost on because we just
Yeah.
don't teach it or even deal with it.
Given that really makes me want to continue to try to connect the dots with Reiki, because lately
Sure.
everyone has been talking to me about Reiki, and I'm like, okay, well, this was happening 4 years ago, and it's happening
Right.
every 4 years for me. So I have to. And what I want to say to everyone is, if you've been studying Raymond Buckland's Blue Book, or you've been studying Many Lives, Many Masters, and you've been studying
The
energy.
classics.
Energy
The
movement
classics.
is part of Buddhistic traditions, Hindu
Sure.
traditions,
Right.
Asatru traditions. Energy movement is spirituality. It's always been there. It always will be there. Reiki does not have a monopoly on. It's not. They didn't say this is energy movement. Qigong doesn't have a monopoly on it either. So if you want to learn Reiki, what he's doing right now is Reiki.
See, what would be fun is that if people were watching this or even listening, if they actually felt the warmth coming out of my hands just by intentionally doing this. Like, cause I'm a firewalker, but my hands get super hot,
Yeah.
when I do this. And just those simple exercises, right? Where you're going like this and you feel the tension between the hands get more and more. You
Oh, you
feel the
suck at
magnet
that.
getting created.
What happened to that? All
I
my
don't
baby
know.
pagans in the 90s, where we making energy balls.
Right, I know. And
Throw
we
it to
pass
each
them to each
other.
other.
What
Right,
happened?
and we would do.
Make some
Yeah,
energy balls and stuff. Throw it to
right.
each other. Learn how to
Why
interact
can't we teach?
with each other.
But that's the kids.
Be
Like,
nice
right?
to
You're
each
in
other.
first
I don't
grade.
know why we gotta fight.
You're in first grade. You're learning about the history of the colonization of this country, but you're not learning about energy. Why don't we teach people about like energy work? Because it's not denominational, right? It's not church and state. It's not this
That's why it
religion,
was
that
a
tradition.
blessing to have Juliana on the program because she talked a little bit
Yeah,
about being able to do that. So
yeah,
why can't we all do
yeah.
that? And in some degree,
Right,
I don't know. I mean, as a Catholic kid growing up, like I was taught
right,
to hug everyone before you leave the room or something. Like,
right.
and
Sure.
that's a little of
Every
there's a little
tradition.
of that. There's a little
I
of that.
think. I think what I always say is like every tradition boils down to the same energy, and that energy can be shared without fighting over it. And I'd love to see more of that in the world. So I'm always yapping about it. You know me. But I just it makes me upset that we can't talk to each other from a place of acceptance and awareness. I really wish that we could. And I'll get off of my soapbox because you know how I do. I sit, look, see the picture behind me? That's at Marie Laveau's, that drawing right there I did in front of the house. Little
Mm-hmm.
piece, there's a little flowers. You see that little six
I
pointed
see
thing
it.
right there?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we're doing our thing over there trying to
Considering that
bring
at
about
that
that.
window, in that window,
Yeah.
both me, our friend
Hmm.
Doug, shout out to Doug, and I think four other people that were working at the store at the time
Right.
saw something that looked like Rob Zombie's face in that window. Very
I
much.
bet you did.
And the thing is,
Right.
there's nothing in the window. No one can look in that window. It's just a bunch
Right.
of objects that are boarded into the window.
Right. Yeah.
So how is
Yeah.
that even possible? That someone's peeking their head
Uh,
in that window?
I would say that the amount of spiritual activity that I have witnessed, been a part of with you, Doug,
It
with
looked like
all
King
the homies.
Crimson or Rob Zombie or
Right.
something, dude. It looked like King's. I don't know what, dude. It looked
I was
scary.
there when Rob Zombie bought a bunch of stuff, and he was a nice guy, so maybe he just left his little imprint, like a little
He
horror
left
man.
it in for. He left
Yeah,
it in
he went over there as like, I put
for.
this in the window. I'm Rob Zombie. I can do this. I don't know.
I
Uh,
had to get rid of that picture, but I would show people they'd lose their mind. It looked like somebody
yeah.
leering at the people walking by through that window.
Right. Yeah.
Through that.
Yeah.
And on that note, I do have a very and the cherry on the sundae with these stories.
Sure. Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
that I'll share next time, but it
Hmm.
kind of rounded up and made the whole experience there of my boot camp trials as
Right.
a medium in Savannah really
Yeah.
really poignant and validated a lot of what I was seeing by other
Right.
people and let me know that I was in a place that was supercharged with psychic activity and spirituality. So, again, shout out to
Yeah.
Savannah. Thank you for the Savannah tour
Yeah.
board and everybody that does so
Sure.
much to keep the city beautiful there because it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Savannah's a great place. I was only there for a day, but the impressions that I had from it as a person of mystical vibes, I was overcome with a lot of beautiful, but also sad and kind of like stagnant energy. It's like a very slow, bluesy song, a very
New
slow,
Orleans is like,
yeah,
and then Savannah's
yeah.
like,
It's like a
ooh,
dirge.
a
You know what I
dirge.
mean? Yeah, it's like a
Slow boat
funeral
going
march. It's
down a
slow.
river.
Yeah, because all that stuff that happened there is just still kind of it's ominous, but it's beautiful. Like it's part of what New Orleans is so special for. Is that ominous, beautiful, like sad history, but like triumph through adversity. I mean, New Orleans, we've been through a lot lately and in general, and I love our city as well. So just obviously that's why I made the peace thing for our city not that long ago, and I love
Shout out
that
to
place. And
people from the
yeah,
entertainment publication, Creative Loafing, Savannah and Atlanta,
yeah,
and also my mentor, who God rest her soul, Christia Cummings-Slack, who did so much
yeah,
for me in that era to help me
yeah,
along my path and help other people as she did till she passed. So,
indeed.
and
Indeed.
we'll
Well, we will get to part three of this story, and I'm sure it'll be great. One thing that I wanted to tell everybody is that if you like and subscribe and comment on our podcast on YouTube, it's going to help us grow. So we appreciate any interaction that we have with everybody. We've appreciated all the comments that we've got privately and the information that we've gotten from you about what you like. If you have comments about what you want to see on our show, if you want to be on our show, if you want to talk about something, please contact us. Our Instagrams are on the details. You can get to us. So just, let us know what you want to see and how much you dig
We're
the show.
looking at
We appreciate it.
expanding. We're looking at taking some of this on the road. So,
Yes, sir.
positive ideas for the future. And this is going to be, you know what? Ominous vibrations turn into positive actions when we keep it. Let's throw it out there and keep it positive, y'all. So, all right,
Oh,
we'll look forward
yes.
again on Walking the Crossroads.
Goodbye, everybody.